So I got interrupted. I had to go to the bus stop, so this video will more than likely be short, so I can finish this, post them, and carry my ass to work. We don't address racism in America the way other countries address racism. We try to sweep that shit under the rug. We try to hide it. We try to denounce that this shit exists. Charlottesville was a pure example that racism is alive and well in America. Charlottesville is a pure example of what not to do. You know, I touched on this before, and I'm going to touch on it again because I was here in this room, in this house, at the time Miss Heyer lost her life. Then the helicopter went down and 2 police officers lost their life. 3 weeks before, the Klan was there, or 2 weeks before the Klan was there. Maybe it was a week before, but the Klan came here. The Klan didn't have any problems. But the white supremacists came in and tiki torched the frack out of the university. Then they came downtown and had their alt-right movement crap. And the city of Charlottesville put up a hellacious show. They started having festivals. We've never had as many festivals in Charlottesville as the day we had for the Unite the Right thing. And they announced all these things was going to happen over here. All these things were going to happen over here. The only thing we didn't have was Nirvana come in and be at the John Paul Jones Arena. But we had all kinds of different events going on as far as fuck away from downtown as possible. And they even announced this shit on the radio. Don't go here, don't go here, don't go here. Which, reverse psychology and a bunch of dumb people. And I'm sorry if I've offended anybody that's been wounded from that. But when they tell you not to do something, I'm not saying you should be a robot. But, you know, a lot of this shit could have been prevented if we all would have just did what the city suggested. You know, let's not go causing problems. Because in America, sadly, your very first right is what caused this crap. Your freedom of speech. And you have freedom of speech. However, there are limits on the things you are allowed to do with your freedom of speech. And starting a riot, inciting a riot, is not legal. However, you have freedom of speech. This is another example of racism not being addressed. The thing about racism is that everyone who hates someone because of the one thing in the universe that you can't change. I used to say 2, but you can change your gender when you get older. Yeah, if you're trans or in the alphabet squad, you can change your gender. When you get old enough and if you have the money, you can do that. But you, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, you do not have enough money. On God's green earth, there is no such thing as enough money to change your ethnicity. Alright? Now, many, many years ago, I'm going to say this, I'm going to offend a lot of people, specifically Japanese people, and I'm going to say this. That's why I'm apologizing before I say this, because I'm going to offend the fuck out of Japanese people. In the late 90s, an emergence of Japanese people dressing black happened. This became a big trend where most of the young Japanese people wanted to be black. But that was also because they didn't understand the ramifications of how America treats black versus how other countries treat blacks. So we have a lot of people in the Japanese community. I gotta do this, you know, just so that, damn, how the hell does that even work? Okay, prime example, I just rebuttoned my pants and we're all walking down with brag and sagging, you know. My pants basically fit me, so that sagging shit isn't work. If you just saw like 4 seconds ago, I practically injured myself. Anyway, yeah, so that was like in the late 90s. And then as of recent, I did a video about the young white man that is a singer and he wanted to be looking like a K-pop star. Now he probably gonna have a lot of closer to changing his ethnicity to being Asian because he's white and he's light. But for him to have facial construction to make his eyes slant so that he can be Asian, that shit's gonna work on the outside, but genetically, he won't be able to marry a white girl and produce Asian kids. Alright? That's the thing that I was getting at. You can't change your genetics. You cannot change your DNA. Now, if he had some Native American in him, which sadly he does not, Native Americans are Asian, so he may be lucky if he marries an Asian woman where they can produce a kid that looks more Asian. But not all Asian eyes are slanted the same, so you have to understand how that works. Because some eyes are closer slanted, some eyes are. There are some people who have deep Asian features where their eyes are like really, really small, and some are really slanted and some are not. And then there are Asians who are westernized or Asians who've had the cut to fix the epicaptic fold that I just said incorrectly. But the thing about racism, and I was getting to this in the other video before I stopped, a lot of us aren't born in the bodies we feel. A lot of us aren't born in the races that we feel we should be. Here's where the acceptance speech comes in, okay? Because when I was in grade school, I just thought I was black and really lucky because I had curly hair. Come find out, most naturally born black people do not have curly hair. Once your baby hair goes away, that's it. You get what everybody else has. My baby hair went away and I got curls. There are lots of curls. But the reason for that is because I'm not biologically full black, or full African rather. And the thing about that, a lot of African Americans, and I call you African Americans because that's what you want to be called, but I prefer to call you the same thing Whoopi Goldberg says. We're black. It's not a bad word. You are not an African American if you are not born in Africa and immigrated to America. You're black. Accept that shit. But if you're an African American and you were born in Africa and immigrated to from Africa to America, then you are a true African American. A lot of people don't want to accept that. They like being called African American. And here's where I have a little problem with that. I have 3 good friends from Africa. 3 good friends from Africa. But I've met a total of 7 people from Africa, and 4 of those 7 people told me that Africa don't like black people. I didn't believe that at first, until I had got more bad African people who met me, and 2 of them worked with my friend Bruce at the Media Arts Center, and they straight told me, we don't like you because you're a half-breed. It's nothing personal because they didn't get to know me, but they just straight told me, look, we only work with you because Bruce told us to, but if we had a choice, we don't work with half-breeds. We don't really deal with black people in general. But they were darker than me, and they were from Africa on some exchange program, getting a great education on American soil, but they don't want to work with an American who's mixed. It didn't hurt my feelings, but it opened my eyes. And again, it happened to me in high school with an African guy who had curly hair, which was kind of fucked up. It's like, most Africans don't have curly hair. So you're mixed too. It's like, yeah, I'm from South Africa, and one of my parents was mixed, or some bullshit story he gave me. With the same other kid that was from there in high school, it's like, I don't listen to him. You would survive if you came to Africa. We're not really against black people. And it's like, yeah, I'm not all the way black. He said, well, still. And then went on, and then I met Yoko and Tubu, and they were great from Africa. And they was like, hey man, Africans don't really like American black people like talking about it, but you're going to be fine if you go there. But the old threat from high school still lingered in my head, and so no, I'm not going to Africa, period. And when we weigh the blood DNA, I'm going to have about the same amount of black DNA as Native American DNA and white DNA. So, I'm going to do that. But other than that, because somebody didn't see my goddamn lights, I'm going to end this fucking video now that I'm pissed off. But the bottom line is that we don't sit down and talk about racism. We don't address racism. And we don't seem to understand that the one thing on earth that you truly can't change is the color of skin that you are in. Remember that. BC.